Right, now Blue has says he doesn't want us to misrepresent it. So that picture, I mean, Blue does say the elevation above the tangent plane. Now,
what Jesse is trying to measure is the elevation above the tangent plane.
Are you all right with that? Do you have a tangent plane in your picture?
I don't know what you're talking about. The tangent. If I were to make a tangent in the center of that arc,
yeah,
another line that's tangent in the center of the arc, it would be parallel with the chord,
yeah,
but only in the center of that arc.
I got your numbers right here. It's just as easy as 1, 2, 3.
I start out with a circle, right?
Yeah.
Your mind. Imagination is all you need.
This is what Jesse did.
Don't take advice from fools. Everything that they say is in vain.
Level is not a straight horizontal line.
Never take advice from fools. We all know what they do is in vain.
The differential between those horizontals would be 28.5 meters according to your drawing. Blue's done it. Jessica Zlowski did it. Walter Bislin's done it. Anybody else? Hoymar, I think Hoymar said it as well. Brought it back again. This is great, Hoymar. Well, are you loving this?
Everything is relative to you. You just have to say it in generality.
The elevation above the tangent plane.
Just like those straight lines are curving. Drive down the road, don't you ever swerve. And I don't know.
I just drew a circle.
Yeah, on a vertical plane.
Where all of this goes. Never take advice from fools.
This is what Jesse did.
Everything that they say is in vain.
Level is not a straight horizontal line.
Never take advice from fools. 'Cause everything that they do is in vain.
Well, I just drew a circle, just a plain old circle.
Yeah. So do you internalize your horizontal chord tangent planes?
No, I don't. I wouldn't call it an elevation above the tangent. I mean above the chord.
I know the game that you're playing.
The elevation above the tangent plane.
And I know exactly what's on your mind. You got your playbook, it's alright. Your model dictates what you will find. And I don't know where all of this goes. Don't take advice from fools. 'Cause everything that they say is in vain.
Level is not a straight horizontal line.
Never take advice from fools. We all know what they do is in vain.
It just seemed interesting to me because, you know, if you look at that, it's like that doesn't look like it's curvature with a.
Yeah, you wouldn't even imagine there's a
Earth is.
28.5 meter hump there in the middle of the water, would you?
It's pretty flat and level now.
And bam, there's the radius of the Earth.
Horizontal's definitely a straight line.
Yes, but again, in the real bridge, vertical is the direction of gravity.
Yeah, and the vertical change you've said between where you imagine the chord is and where you imagine the tangent, right?
Right, and when
It's 28.5 meters, the differential between those two. Now, is the chord and the tangent, are they parallel? Do you internalize your
I'll share
horizontal chord tangent planes? Do you internalize your
I'll share
horizontal chord tangent planes? Do Do you internalize your
I'll share
horizontal chord tangent planes?
You don't understand. You don't understand.
Let's see.
It's not my problem if you don't want to learn. You're just on your own.
Let's take a look at that.
I did not say that the level is not horizontal.
This is what Jesse did.
And bam,
He took a point. Now that green chord line is what you could call a horizontal if you wanted to.
I did not say that the level is not horizontal.
And the difference between those two is your GPS elevation. That's what GPS would be telling you.
Oh yeah, it's measurable.
What Jesse is trying to measure is the elevation above the tangent plane.
Oh yeah, it's measurable.
That would be that chord line up to the causeway.
I nailed that.
You don't understand. It's not my problem if you don't want to learn. You're just on your own.
So hopefully that makes some sense, because nothing those guys said made any sense.
If you did differential leveling across the bridge, since it would show the same height on the rod all the way across the bridge.
Yep. Actually, it's the position of your camera. I nailed that.
Now that green chord line is what you could call a horizontal if you wanted to.
Oh yeah, it's measurable.
What Jesse is trying to measure is the elevation above the tangent plane.
Oh yeah, it's measurable.
That would be that chord line up to the causeway.
I nailed that.
You don't understand. You don't understand. It's not my problem if you don't want to learn. You're just on your own.
If you can call the chord horizontal, then perpendicular to that would
No reason, no logic, no wisdom, no worry.
be vertical.
You're just on your own. No reason, no logic, no answers to questions. You're just on your own.
Right, and that point in the middle of the bridge is where the chord is horizontal to the sagittal, to the vertical. If you want to call it that.
So there was a
That's
definite
in the middle.
vertical difference. There's a vertical change, isn't there? There, obviously. Drawn it. Is it like one's the chord, and then that other bit is a vertical change.
Right,
Call
the
it like
chord
an
number.
elevation change on the vertical datum, right?
No, because
Yeah, it's on the vertical. You know that elevation changes are done on the vertical datum.
Level is not a straight horizontal line. Let's see. Let's take a look at that.
I did not say that the level is not horizontal.
This is what Jesse did.
And bam,
He took a point over here on the left-hand side of the screen. He took a point at the start of that causeway, and he took an end point over on the right-hand end of the screen, that yellow dot,
and bam.
and he drew the chord line between those 2 points.
I nailed that.
The ellipsoid is this green line that my cursor's tracing right now, right? And the causeway is this dotted red line up here. Now that green chord line is what you could call a horizontal if you wanted to. Level is this curved
On the level.
green line of the ellipsoid, or the red line that I say is the actual causeway elevation.
I did not say that the level is not horizontal.
And the difference between those two is your GPS elevation. That's what GPS would be telling you.
Oh yeah, it's measurable.
What Jesse is trying to measure is the elevation above the tangent plane.
Oh yeah, it's measurable.
That would be that chord line up to the causeway.
I nailed that.
So hopefully that makes some sense.
No.
Because nothing those guys said made any sense.
All right, how are you doing?
Oh, good. Just watching the stream.
Oh
Whatever
yeah,
that means.
yeah. Have you seen this?
I don't know. I don't think so. Which
Have
one
you
is
seen
it?
this stuff with Blue? I'll put the thing in the live chat. A picture for you. Blue, we did a video. Do you know much about the Rakia's Bridge?
The Lake Pontchartrain one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Do you know anything about the Jesse Kozlowski and the way he was doing his surveying and all of that?
Yes.
Okay, brilliant. Have you heard about the double hump and the drop and the sort of like the paradox?
Yeah, I just shared a video with you
Oh, have you?
in the chat.
Nice, brilliant. Go over this one first then, right? Can you see Blue's thing? Because that's what I'm doing. Like, can I? Well, I be able to integrate this into your video.
Yeah, I just did a quick CAD drawing.
Sweet. So this related to this, what Blue's done?
I'm just looking at the stream, so how do I go back? I just click that, I guess.
Yeah, this scream's a bit small. There's actually a picture in the live chat, and that's what we're talking about. Is this?
Yeah,
This picture.
that's pretty much what I drew.
Right now, Blue has it says he doesn't want us to misrepresent it. So that picture, I mean, Blue does say the elevation above the tangent plane. Now, are you all right with that? Do you have a tangent plane in your picture?
No.
No. Do you internalize your
I'll share
horizontal
it again.
chord tangent planes? Because we're trying to relate it to this one at Blue's, the internal.
What I did, I was just curious why, in Jesse's video, he showed the data and how pronounced the curve was when he showed. It's basically that same picture you got up. So
Yeah.
I wanted to look at it by turning it along the y-axis, just to see how that worked. And
But what have you got as
So-
Y axis? Have you got like the X and Y? You got
yeah, it's just the AutoCAD X and Y.
yeah. So X would be distance away, right? And the Y, would you have that as left to right, or would you have the X as left to right and the Y?
Yeah, X is left to right and Y is up and down.
That's
But
not Z, isn't it?
I changed
Isn't that
views
Z,
a
though?
few times. I changed views a few times, so
So do you just have it on the vertical plane then?
AutoCAD doesn't have vertical and horizontal planes. It just has planes.
Yeah, so you're doing this drawing of yours on a vertical plane, like a
Like
2D.
I said, you don't. Well, it's 2D views, but
Yeah.
I changed the view, so you can see it.
Well, we've been doing that
From the
about
top.
about the planes in the X, Y, Z axis, right? They've all got their own individual planes.
Yes, yeah, I got it.
Okay, so the X and the Y, when I think of it, we did this with Stingray the other day. When I think of the X and the Y, I think of that on the horizontal, and then develop the Z from that perpendicular.
Yeah, like I said, it's
Is that what we've got here?
the x and the y will change just depending on which view you're looking at, but it shows the it shows it in the drawing sometimes.
Okay, so
This guy, I would change from the front view to the top view, and then I did an isometric view.
I see. I'm just looking at it now. Just watching it. So those things that you put on, they're straight, are they? The white lines. Have you got two parallel? You're touching point to point on either side.
Yeah, that's just so I put that on there so I can use the trim tool. So it's a line that's 38 units long.
Okay.
And then it's a circle. Then it's
those are straight lines, though, right?
One
the
of
parallel
them,
ones, the ones with the arrow that you've got, you're moving
no,
around.
the one you can see, I called out the radius on, so it's not a straight line. It has a radius.
Which one? The white ones?
The colored ones. The colored ones have a radius.
The pink one,
That's
yeah.
why
The white ones.
The white one is a straight line.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so would you call that, like you've drawn the chord, like Blue did. Would you say,
Yeah.
Would you call that chord horizontal? Could you call that chord horizontal?
Let me think about it. As respect to the
So it looks like it's
in Jesse's video, in the center of that chord was where it would be perpendicular to the vertical.
Well, right, but then you would call it horizontal then.
Yes.
Okay.
From the, like, if you were standing in the middle of the bridge, yeah, that chord would be horizontal.
Everywhere perpendicular.
Yes. But only standing in the middle of the bridge.
Everywhere along the whole line.
Just in the middle of the bridge.
Because a chord is a straight line and a horizontal is a straight line.
Yes, but it's
that
only
chord would have to be horizontal then, right?
It's only perpendicular to vertical in the middle of the bridge.
If it's a horizontal, then everywhere along it would be perpendicular, wouldn't it? Horizontal.
Not to the bridge.
To the lines that you're drawing. We're just drawing a chord, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's basically a circle with a chord.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. And which you can call it horizontal, right? Blue says that.
At the sagitta, yes, it's horizontal relative to the sagitta.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what that is. So the differential between the horizontals would be like a vertical, wouldn't they?
I have no idea what you just said there.
The differentials, right? Have you ever heard of differential leveling?
Oh, differential leveling. Yeah, I've heard of differential leveling.
So that's the differential of the levels marked by a vertical change. So right at that point in the middle, you would have a horizontal, the one that you say is called a chord, and then a vertical distance imagined up somewhere. right?
Yeah, but the whole
elevation
point
above it, like there's a
differential. You'd go across that bridge like 100 meters at a time, and then the fact that you're doing a front and a back basically eliminates error due to refraction and curvature.
Yeah, but the differential between the horizontal at the start point and the horizontal at the middle would be measured on a vertical datum, right?
If you did differential leveling across the bridge, since it would show the same height on the rod all the way across the bridge.
A horizontal. You're saying it's a horizontal all the way across. Yeah.
For the except for where the
from one side of the bridge to the other.
Well, the causeway, except for the bridges where the boats can go under, it's pretty much, it was designed to be level all the way across.
Yeah. Horizontal all the way. There's definitely no vertical datum change, right? There's no vertical.
Yeah, man, on my drawings,
change.
My drawings was made really simple. It was, the whole point was just to see why the curve was so pronounced in Jesse's data. It just seemed interesting to me because, you know, if you look at that, it's like that doesn't look like it's the curvature with the
you wouldn't even imagine there's a 28.5 meter hump there in the middle of the water, would you? Vertical change. I mean, it wouldn't even be imaginable. Yeah, some people are drawing pictures of it. Like you've added your name to the list. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and I even call out that the sagittal distance at the very end of the video, and it came out to 28. So
right, so that would definitely be a vertical plane, right? That when you're drawing it like that, and you were doing the chord that you called a chord, right? The one we said could be horizontal.
Well, again,
that's a vertical plane, isn't it?
I start out with a circle, right?
Yeah.
And then the line I use as a chord on that circle, and then I trim off the circle.
It's like a vertical plane, isn't it? That circle is on a vertical plane.
If you're talking in relation to the Earth, that circle would be a great circle.
No, we're just talking about that circle that you drew. When you drew it, you drew it on the vertical plane, didn't you?
I just drew a circle.
Yeah, on a vertical plane.
But if in relationship to the Earth, real Lake Pawson train, it would be a great circle, a cross section of the Earth.
Yeah, but what I'm getting at is, if you can call the chord horizontal, then perpendicular to that would be vertical.
Right, and that point in the middle of the bridge is where the chord is horizontal to the sagittal, to the vertical, if you want to call it that.
So there was a definite vertical difference. There's a vertical change, isn't there? There, obviously, you've drawn it. Is it like one's the chord, and then that other bit is a vertical change? Right. Call it like an elevation change on the vertical datum, right?
No, because
it's on the vertical. You know that elevation changes are done on a vertical datum.
The chord, if you could see it, would be running under the water from the two ends of the bridge.
Yeah, so there's a vertical change, right? Obviously, isn't there?
From the chord, there's a distance between the chord and the arc. So the bridge is the arc.
Yeah, the differential between those horizontals would be 28.5 meter, according to your drawing. Blue's done it. Jessica Zlowski did it. Walter Bislin's done it. Anybody else? Hoymar, I think Hoymar said it as well. Brought it back again. This is great, Hoymar. I bet you're loving this. Get on with it.
Oh, yeah,
He
it's-
studied this bridge as much as anyone, I think. He may have just had a look at a few pictures.
The Sagitta is the only one that's 28 meters. Then it gets gradually
but
smaller
that's the
from
difference,
there.
right, between the one horizontal that you called the chord and the other horizontal that you can imagine is a tangent. But Blues put them both together, right? Blues put the horizontal chord tangent plane, which is, I think, what you're thinking of.
Well, it's
Right.
what I drew. What I did was just draw it to scale. So it is what it is. It turns out the way it turns out because
What,
I drew it to
28 and a
scale.
half meter hump of water in the middle?
No, it's not a. That's
It's
the
a vertical.
Sagitta.
It's a
So
vertical. You've admitted already. There's a vertical elevation change, right? There's a definite difference between one level and the other level of 28 and a half meters.
the only place that chord is perpendicular is in the center of the arc. So the Sagitta is in the center of the
chord
arc.
being a straight line has perpendiculars anywhere, doesn't it? I mean, like, it's just a straight line. You can put a perpendicular to a straight line wherever you want.
That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So
if
the greatest
it's a horizontal,
distance,
then all of the perpendiculars would be vertical, wouldn't they? Because perpendicular to horizontal.
So the greatest distance is in the center of the bridge between the chord.
The shortest
and the
distance
arc.
is from one end of the bridge to the other in a straight line, isn't it?
Well, the chord length is a bit shorter than the arc length, but you're not going to go under the water.
The straight line's the shortest distance from one point to the other, isn't it?
But the chord is a bit shorter than the arc.
Yeah, but the chord is the shortest distance from one point to the other, isn't it? That's why it's a straight line.
Yeah, the chord is the shortest distance, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love these geometry lessons. So that you said you could call that a horizontal, right? A horizontal. So therefore, all of the perpendiculars to that horizontal, boom, boom, boom.
There's only one place in
vertical changes
on the actual bridge. There's only one. If you're standing in the middle of the bridge, that chord would be horizontal. But if you're standing someplace else on the bridge, the chord would be
horizontal. Yeah. Okay.
If you're from the middle of the bridge, at the point of the Sagitta.
Yeah. And horizontal's definitely a straight line.
Yes, but again, in the real bridge, vertical is the direction of gravity.
Yeah, and the vertical change you've said between where you imagine the chord is and where you imagine the tangent, right?
Right, and when
it's 28 and a half meters, the differential between those two. Now, is the chord and the tangent, are they parallel?
I don't know what you're talking about. The tangent.
If I were
to make a tangent in the center of that arc, another line that's tangent in the center of the arc, it would be parallel with the chord, but only in the center of that arc.
But Blue's got the elevation of the thing being above the tangent plane.
Okay, if I made a tangent any other place along that arc except for the center, it would no longer be parallel with that chord.
Right, but what about where the elevation is measured, right? Because Blue, in Blue's
I don't have
picture,
an elevation.
And we had to go and confirm this, right, just to make sure. Blue does say it's the elevation above the tangent plane. So do you internalize your horizontal chord tangent planes?
No, I wouldn't call it a elevation above the tangent. Above the chord. There's a distance there, but I wouldn't call it an elevation.
Oh, have you seen Blue's picture? Blue definitely calls it an elevation above. And see, because that's 28.5 meters, right? That's a height.
A distance.
Yeah.
That's a distance.
Okay, so you wouldn't call that an elevation. You just call that a distance.
Well, I think an elevation is like above mean sea level. And so if the water itself was at mean sea level, then the bridge would be a certain elevation above that. But the chord does not represent
then.
Yeah, the chord doesn't represent the mean sea level or isn't at the level of the water. It would be below the water.
Sorry?
The chord would be below the water between the 2 points of the bridge, because it's the chord distance, and the bridge is an arc.
Yeah.
When again, down is the direction of gravity.
Okay. So you are actually going for the shortest distance between A and B from one end of the bridge to the other end of the bridge being, I would say, a horizontal distance, because that's how the shortest distances in reality are measured, right? They have to be horizontal.
And I would say the chord length is shorter than the arc length.
Chord line is what you could call a horizontal if you wanted to.
But that would have to be the shortest distance, so you would have to say that is horizontal. It's a horizontal distance, therefore being the shortest distance in reality that we could possibly measure. The shortest distance between point A and point B is a straight line, but in reality, that straight line is horizontal in order for it to be the shortest distance in reality.
Chord line is what you could call a horizontal if you wanted to.
I agree, a straight line is the shortest distance, but the only point...
The shortest distance in that picture there is a chord.
On the actual bridge,
yep.
The only point that that chord is horizontal is if you're standing in the middle of the bridge.
Chord line is what you could call a horizontal if you wanted to.
It's horizontal in the middle. I'm having that. That's fine. So from A to B, it's the shortest distance, both in the picture and in reality. And right in the middle of the bridge, it's horizontal. Right? That's where the water and that chord is horizontal, right? Right in the middle.
Chord line is what you could call a horizontal if you wanted to.
And then what you could do, right, is you could put that middle point there, and then you could say right in the middle of the 2 points of that bit, like do irreducibility, right? Halfway, that's horizontal there too.
Chord line is what you could call a horizontal if you wanted to.
Boom, that's horizontal there too. Boom, and then you keep going, and you
Chord line is what you could call a horizontal if you wanted to.
There's just everywhere turns out to be horizontal. As soon as you start doing that, it's fantastic the way this mathematics and geometry works. It just proves that it's all horizontal from A to B, shortest distance, all the way. The water's there, dead horizontal.
Chord line is what you could call a horizontal if you wanted to.
That green bit that in that picture there, it's completely fabricated in your mind, isn't it? Doesn't exist.
That's why you said it before.
Call it a tangent plane, internal.
I like
what Jesse is trying to measure is the elevation above the tangent plane.
I like the way
horizontal if you were to draw tangent plane.
If you were to draw a tangent to my colored line, which represents the arc, if you draw a tangent anywhere on that, the only place that tangent would be parallel with the chord will be in the middle of that arc.
What Jesse is trying to measure is the elevation above the tangent plane.
Yeah. That's why Blue's labeled it tangent plane, right? Because you can imagine That is the tangent plane as you're going over the bridge.
What Jesse is trying to measure is the elevation above the tangent plane.
The shortest distance between A and B.
Yeah, I don't know why I labeled it a tangent plane, but
He's actually called it.
I would
he's
just
called it a tangent plane.
What Jesse is trying to measure is the elevation above the tangent plane.
Yeah, I see the arrow there, but I would just
No.
that a chord.
When he voices it, he says it's the elevation above the tangent plane.
What Jesse is trying to measure is the elevation above the tangent plane.
But if you were to draw a tangent on the circle,
On what circle?
that line would be parallel when the tangent is in the center of that arc. So what he calls the tangent plane is parallel with the tangent of the circle.
What Jesse is trying to measure is the elevation above the tangent plane.
If the tangent line were drawn in the middle of that arc.
Yeah, and then if
you
could call that horizontal,
Chord line is what you could call a horizontal if you wanted to.
then that tangent plane that you're thinking of also would be called horizontal.
It's what you could call a horizontal if you wanted to.
And those horizontals, as we all know, are always parallel, aren't they?
Yeah, and I think that's where we disagree.
What, that horizontals are always parallel?
Horizontals at one point.
Yeah, of course they are.
Yes, at one point.
Yeah, the differential between the horizontals is always called a vertical datum, isn't it?
What Jesse is trying to measure is the elevation above the tangent plane.
That's why you can have a vertical datum system.
If you were to go to the one end of the bridge and draw a tangent to that arc, it's no longer parallel with a chord.
Well, that means, right, that can't relate to reality, can it? Because, as we know, in reality, all horizontals are parallel. So, I mean...
But it does relate,
that's like a
right?
reductio ad absurdum. Oh, yeah.
The only difference is because when down is the direction of gravity and down goes towards the center of the Earth, then there's a... Right, well,
yeah.
I'm just going to call it down. And down is
vertical is like the bottom part of vertical, right? Like, not that you can really separate vertical, but no, it's just one direction of vertical. Even though it's a straight line, right?
Yeah, you're welcome to use my my drawing however you see fit, but I was mostly just curious why the curve looked so pronounced in Jesse's video. It just I knew it would,
he made it look
but
like
I couldn't.
That. He wanted you to think hump.
What Jesse is trying to measure is the elevation above the tangent plane.
No, it really has to do with the fact that when you're looking at it, when you turn it along the y-axis, you're looking along it, and then when you zoom into it, then it makes it a lot more pronounced.
It's like a storyteller, Jesse Kozlowski. That's the way I think of him, right? He's a storyteller, and what he does is he's induced in you, Jesse Kozlowski, induced Imagihump.
What Jesse is trying to measure is the elevation above the tangent plane.
No, he didn't, because I just Googled the length of the bridge, and I took the great circle radius, and that's what I drew.
Yeah.
And then I made two of those arcs, and then I turned one 89 degrees, and then I looked at it from the front, and you can see that it just naturally takes that hump. All Jesse did was turn his data, so you're looking at it, I don't know how far.
Yeah, you don't actually think there's a 28.5 meter hump in the middle of that.
What Jesse is trying to measure is the elevation above the tangent plane.
there's that distance between the chord
Chord line is what you could call a horizontal if you wanted to.
and the arc, yes.
Oh, there's a 28.5 meter difference in the horizontal points on that vertical that you would put in the middle.
What Jesse is trying to measure is the elevation above the tangent plane.
Between the shortest distance between A and B and your imagined tangent. I mean, Blue did do us a favour, right? Are you sure you not want to take on the horizontal chord tangent plane? You drop it down then, you make them the same.
Chord line is what you could call a horizontal if you wanted to. What Jesse is trying to measure is the elevation above the tangent plane.
There's no imagined distance, right? You can think of them as though they're the same thing.
Again, I drew it to scale. I never watched anything of Blue's, so I don't really know what Blue talks about.
Yeah, just imagine reality, though.
I did watch Jesse's video. I thought it was pretty fascinating.
In reality, can you tell the difference between a chord and a tangent on your model?
Horizontal chord line tangent plane.
Because I'm thinking about it now in your model. I'm thinking
Well,
I can understand why Blue has a horizontal chord tangent plane.
Horizontal chord line tangent plane.
Well,
it makes sense, doesn't it?
Since the bridge follows the great circle, that makes an arc. And if you draw a line between the two ends of a straight line between the two ends of the bridge, that would be a chord. Can you see that in real life? No.
Tangent plane.
Because you're just driving across.
See, a chord is a straight line, but you also imagine the great circle's a straight line, don't you? So you see, you've got a problem there. And do you imagine that a tangent is a straight line?
Horizontal chord line tangent plane.
Because what you might have is the same as what Blue's got. You've got the tangent, which is a tangent to a straight line, which is a great circle, imagined straight line, which is also the chord. You can just whoop and squish them all together, can't you?
Horizontal chord line tangent plane.
Straight line, straight line, straight line. Rumpus said last night, you guys can have a tangent to a straight line, which you obviously have to have because a great circle to you is a straight line. So a tangent, the great circle, and the chord, straight line, straight line, straight line, boosh, you can have them all together. You can just imagine them as the same thing.
Horizontal chord line tangent plane.
Horizontal plane. That's how you can have a model induced horizontal chord tangent plane.
Horizontal chord line tangent plane.
It's the future. It's what's needed. Right. You might already have it. Have you checked?
Well, I just drew a circle, just a plain old circle.
Yeah, I know.
And the shortest distance between on that chord is a straight line. Arc distance would be a bit longer.
But you call that arc a straight line also, wouldn't you? A great...
No.
Would you not?
I called it arc and arc, and I said I started with a circle.
Yeah.
I've never referred to either of those as a straight line.
It wouldn't be a great... You wouldn't want to sort of fabulize your circle after a while, would you? And, thus enable a mental concept of straightening. Equipotential angle of adjustment. Oops. You'll never notice.
Anyway. Glad I got your attention. Just wanted to share my video with you.
Thank you very much.
Like I said, if you want to use it, that's fine.
Yeah, I've had a look at it. I don't think I can do much. It's just sort of I could do that sort of stuff myself. But the chat's been helpful, proper. Thank you.
Okay. All right, well, I'm going to go get my coffee.
All right, I'm going to put the kettle on myself. Thank you very much.
See you later.
If you enjoyed the content, please support On the Level and future projects. Membership subscriptions available now, or come and get involved at Next Level Discord server. Thank you.